Just want everyone to say hi to Bobo before I get to yapping today. This is my sweet girl. This is who I do it for. Makes it all worth it. Aw, my sweet love. Okay, go to bed. There you go. Anyways, despite that short bulldog. Oh my god, you see how I did that? Yeah, that's why I did that. But as y'all know, I'm just trying to get rid of some glare with this. But I guess I just want to keep on yapping today because it felt good to yap yesterday. So let's keep it going. I've talked about this before. It may even very well be my first video, which is only like 4 videos ago, but I'm trying to make this a less precious situation because I have a lot of things I want to talk about, and I don't necessarily know who they're for, but something inside me is feeling like I need to get it out. But I've had a lot of conversations with people lately who've just been feeling down about their creative path. Maybe things didn't turn out the way they wanted to. Maybe things aren't on schedule like they thought they were gonna be. Which, you know, really a lot of that's always out of our hands. You just keep doing the work and you never know how close you're getting to being at that success point, and sometimes you don't even know what that success point exactly is. You know, I've been an artist my whole life. I've been drawing my whole life, but as far as taking it seriously, once I quit drinking in 2016, I really started to lean into my creative personality, you know, really let that side of Key come out and interact and be front and center for everything. I've had odd jobs all, you know, through my 20s, working, you know, event stuff here, hospitality stuff here, etc., but at a certain point, maybe when I was 27 or so, shout out John Denver, found himself in the summer of his 27th year. When I was 27, I was tired of answering the question, what do you do? What do you do for work, with whatever job was paying me fucking money at the time. Because that was never the thing that felt like me. It was never the part of me that wanted to be broadcast. You know, like, oh, I check people in at the gym. Oh, hey, I set up event spaces for these, you know, rich techies. You know, I'm out in the Bay Area, so we got a lot of rich everything, you know. It's not me. I ain't the rich one. But we got a lot of them out here. So in that summer of 2017, I started telling people I'm an artist, first and foremost. What do you do? I'm an artist. And I do other things to help pay the bills, but that's what I am first and foremost. And I think for a lot of us, we put that artist label second, that creative label second, and because I don't just mean like the hard arts, like painting, you know, photos, drawing. I mean like everything's creative, you know. I always say, like, you cut hair, you bake bread, you are a nurse. It's all creative because you have to apply yourself, your experiences to some sort of nebulous thing. There's no way for that not to be creative, you know? Yeah, people have been baking for however many centuries. I don't know. My homie Brad could tell me, but I don't know. But we wouldn't have all sorts of new bread and pastries and etc. without people being creative in that field. You know what I mean? And in general, just having the basic things like a loaf of bread is fucking creative, because I never would have thought to put all those things together, bake them at a certain whatever. You know what I mean? But putting that creative part of yourself first really allows for growth. It really allows for you to see that the things aren't, you're not just doing the things, you're making the things into the level they need to be. That's going to make sense to who it needs to make sense to. but we've all had that waiter who's just there doing the job, and then we've had the waiter who's there being creative with their energy and time while they're at the job, you know, being friendly, being kind, taking your photos, you know, whatever. Like sometimes they go above and beyond, and that's something we recognize. That's someone being creative in a space with limitations, because that's another thing, is that creativity loves limitations. You've seen monochromatic paintings, you've seen black and white, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, we got people onto the moon with less technology than I'm using to record this video right now. Like, the limitations don't matter. It's what you do despite those limitations that turn into the person you are. I can say that better. The way you approach things as a creative person, that's way more important than the outcomes. You know what I'm saying? If you approach life and your creative endeavors and your art and your passions with the idea that you're always gaining experience, you're always leveling up, you're always inching yourself closer and closer. Sometimes you jump a foot, sometimes you jump 3 feet, you know, sometimes you go back a little because the cave falls down a little bit, but you just keep going. I know that there's people I'm speaking out there who understand exactly what I'm talking about. There's something in you that just like hates the idea of a 9 to 5, of working your ass off for someone else forever until you die, because you have stuff you need to get out of you. And to go back to my impromptu video about frustration and setting boundaries, now I don't know if that video is going to come out before or after this one, but this one's being recorded after. Point is, you need to set those boundaries and say, this is important for my growth. It doesn't matter if you're saying it to, you know, someone in your house, someone you love, someone you're related to, someone out on the street who's just talking to you and using up more of your time than you have. You need to set those boundaries and say, look, even if you're just saying it to yourself, these are things that I need to do. These are things that make me feel better just by virtue of doing them. The outcome truly doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who sees it. It doesn't matter if it's in a gallery. It doesn't matter if it ends up on the cover of textbooks in 100 years for art history students. I mean, if we still have art history classes in 100 years with the way things are going right now. But that outcome doesn't matter, you know? You just keep doing the work that your spirit and your soul, and I'm not being religious, I'm being cosmic, I'm being human. You do the work that your spirit and your soul tells you you need to be doing. And you'll know when you're doing that thing, because you will feel the least amount of resistance to it you have ever felt. You will feel the least resistance. You will do it so well with having to try not hard at all. And I don't mean to like my ADHD people who are like, oh, I picked up watercolors, I couldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, yes, you have to apply yourself to your craft, any craft. But if the resistance is low and you're feeling the urge to do something every single day, I encourage you to do that thing. I spent the last few months, again, not willingly, not consciously. I just have been in a little bit of a valley as far as my creative processes go. And oops, sorry, bumped the camera there. You know, and so I got out of practice with certain things, but I got in practice with other things. So like the past few months, I switched. I've really been focusing a lot on my digital artwork, trying to help out, you know, homies with their brands, or just in general increase my digital art skills. And that is something that's very valuable to me as an artist. We need to be well-rounded. We need to be, you know, multifaceted. I'm painting for a show that's coming up in this June of 2025, and I'm a painter by trade. I paint like brush to canvas. That's, you know, That's my bread and butter. I'm heavily in the sticker scene for sure. Sticker collabs, all that, all the homies, digital art for sure. But the thing that gives me the least resistance and the most joy, and I just find myself coming out of it with an almost meditative sort of zen, no matter what I completed or didn't, or if I just worked, or if something's in an ugly phase, or if something's in a sketch phase, whatever. It's painting. It's brush to canvas, you know? Acrylics, textures, shapes, colors. I'm getting used to having this camera facing me, so it's fun. But point is, I started doing it, and every time I do that, I remember how much joy it brought me, and how much joy it brings me, and how much meditative peace it brings me. But to wrap back and button this up, those breaks are so necessary for you to understand the value of that thing within your life and how much you actually enjoy it. You know, anyone who knows me knows that I'm not the one that should be using this example because I eat ice cream like every day. But if you overindulge in sweets every single day, but they bring you joy, whatever, eventually by, you know, let's say you're real intense. Let's say you got like an addictive personality like me. Let's say you're 6 months into it. You had freaking 3 bars of dark chocolate every night and it brought you joy in the beginning. You know what I mean? It was your little sweet treat. By the end, this is something you're just going through the motions of, and maybe you don't even want it, but your body says, this is what we do, so it's important to take that break and you know, tolerance break a little bit, an experiential tolerance break. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be creative in between these things. Like I said, you know, you switch it up and you find other things, other facets that will eventually, when you go back to your bread and butter, help inform that thing much better than if you had just white knuckled it through and said, like, this is it. This is all I'm allowed to do. You know? And I know that goes against what I said with creativity, enjoying limitations, but sometimes you have to put a limitation on your own self, and you have to say, look, and again, I didn't do this consciously. Sometimes you just say, if I don't feel like focusing on painting, photography, drawing, baking, whatever your main thing is today, maybe you're not feeling it for a couple of weeks, maybe you're not feeling it for a couple months. There is nothing wrong with that. That's a limitation for sure. But the creativity in you will be doing push-ups, getting stronger until you whip out those materials again and your body goes, and again, fuck it. This is a hippy dippy channel. I don't care. If your body and your spirit and your soul are saying, this is feeding me, then you know you've come full circle back to it, and you know it's something you're going to constantly need in your life. I don't really have a great way to end this. All I want to say is, to anyone who's feeling like they're not at the place they need to be right now, and maybe you feel like giving up, maybe you feel like this isn't for me, maybe like you feel like your art's not touching anyone, it is. Keep doing it. Take breaks if you need to, but don't ever quit, because quitting is the only absolute way to lose and not get what you want. It's the only way. Everything else is just a road bump or a learning experience. But if you quit, you've lost. So don't do that. Anyways, so again, another impromptu rant here. Back to more sort of scripted videos, hopefully next week. We'll see. This is very loosey-goosey on here. I just want to talk to y'all and create a community of people who understand each other and want to help out. You know what I mean? I'm just yapping. Just yapping. Jump cut. Sorry, my camera cut out on me and I realized the audio was really shitty on the ending of that. So I think where I was at was saying, you know, I'd just like to create a community of like-minded folks around here. So if any of this that I was speaking about resonated with you, as far as taking breaks as a creative person, and you know, even if you have feelings about giving up, maybe there's something you gave up that was actually a good thing for you. I mean, you know, that's possible. That's possible too. But for the most part, I think it's important that we just take breaks, especially when something calls to us and motivates us to create. You know what I mean? The world's always better with more creations in it, more creativity in it, I should say, because we can rack up a lot of stuff but have no substance. So if any of this resonated with you, you know, hit me with a subscribe, hit me with a like, drop a comment down below in the comments. Let me know what you thought. I really just want to yap with people who understand what I'm talking about, because like I say in every video, I only say this stuff to remind myself of these things. Anyways, I'll get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this, you know, normal little yap. Anyways, thank y'all. See you next time. Bye.